end of the school year as we had at the beginning of the school year. For what it's worth, we've always had the same number. I'm not saying.
Well, wait, kids.
You read between the lines.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Didn't somebody transfer last year?
I was joking about whether Dawson was going to, like, if any students have ever, like, not made it through the school year. Okay, it was a joke that wasn't funny, and then it fell on its face. So, if this is my population, I know, but this is my there's a population in here. So, if by the way, for those of us playing along at home, we're kind of doing a crazy pivot for today. We're doing 8-2-1, but kind of, sort of, because Desmos doesn't work. So for anyone playing along at home, this is going to be chaos, and then we're going to watch the World Cup. So if I pull out a sample, and actually how this game is structured is every factory, you're looking at a factory, gets 4 tiles. So if I lay out a factory, I just texted my game night group, and I was like, I'm going to use Azul to teach sampling, and they're all like, good luck. So does this mean that my population is all the black mosaic, yellow mosaic, and just red tiles?
No.
Why not? I took a sample. Samples are how we figure out things about populations. Minerva? What? I'm sad. Anna?
Because it's just a sample, so it can't be the entirety, but if you multiply it or something like that, then you can probably find out the entirety.
So we think there's probably 2 blacks for every red?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No.
And
Wait.
so there's equal yellows and reds?
No.
Eli?
You'd have to take a bigger sample so then you could get a bigger variety.
Or, if I already said my sample size is 4, what if I just take another sample? No, look at that. There's also snowflakes. There's also blues. Alex?
Okay, so samples, they're only part of it, and you never want to multiply to see the general, because if you do that, it will be probably wildly off, because you don't have every single type of thing sometimes, so it will be incorrect, and you'll have to really estimate.
So guys, this is one of my favorite games. But the sampling of it, sorry to cut you off. Everything you said was really good, and I thought you were done, and then sorry, do you want to finish? So, everything Alex said, absolutely true. But even if I took a bigger sample or more samples, I've got 3, 4, if I move these things around, 4, 5. Ooh, now I've got 4. So, actually, as I take a bigger and bigger and bigger sample, it becomes closer and closer and closer to what we call representative. Because in the real population, there's actually equal numbers of reds, snowflakes, yellow mosaic, black mosaic, and plain blue. So as our sample size grew, we were actually getting closer and closer to the actual population. So this brings up representative sampling versus not representative sampling.
Okay. I have something that I figured out.
Okay.
It also works on box plots.
Okay.
The more you have, the more accurate it is.
The more data you collect, the better it is.
I think
That is a true representation, or that is a true realization. That is kind of the point of my lesson, honestly. So, okay, now that Alex said that, we're done. I'm joking. So, I know, if it wasn't this or the World Cup, sorry, but guys, we're gonna watch World Cup. I'm keeping tabs on how much of the game is left. But, so, we'll skip this one.
I work so
Well,
hard.
I'm trying to go fast. So, if I decide I'm going to take a sample of Phoenix to make a decision about the school, should we start earlier and end earlier? Right? Let's say that's the question. This, you, my Math 7-8 Class 3B, you're my sample. Are you a representative sample of Phoenix? If Phoenix is my population, right? It's a Phoenix decision. Because does the rest of Worthington care when we start? Not really. So if Phoenix is our population, are you representative?
Yes. Well, this class, because we were
Or representative of this
But
class, not all of
if
them.
we ask everyone else, that would be
Gabrielle, you sound pretty definitive, like mine made up.
Yeah.
Why are you saying no?
Because, well, I was doing the homework, so because we're just students that do the math 7, 8 class. There's still a group of people that don't do it, so that wouldn't be a representative.
But it's not about math, it's about whether or
But
not
we're
you
like
want to get up
representing
early.
the entirety.
Yeah, because
Are you? We're not.
No.
No, we
Actually,
aren't.
Liam, you sound pretty made up. And I
we're
would,
not, because we're only one class of the students of like.
So we could, but couldn't we be like a percentage, but still represent? the
if you
school?
were to start describing Phoenix to somebody on the outside, what's the first thing you would probably say?
Bicycle. No, like
Bicycle?
Sincerely, it's something that
It's bicycle and
That's the most middle school moment I've ever.
Bicycle.
No,
And I'm
it's-
sure you have a justification.
Yeah, can I justify my answer?
Well, shut up.
I'm gonna write a book about middle school and just call it Bicycle. Just
Yeah.
because this. Okay, explain yourself.
Okay. So, we all know that you're standing in middle school, you get grades, and you can sometimes just get an F, but you still like move on to the next subject. But when you're learning to ride a bicycle, you figure out what a bicycle is. You figure out what a bicycle is.
Didn't we say that in extension?
It's totally so original. So you figure out what a bicycle is.
disappears.
You watch somebody else like ride a bicycle, and then you yourself get on it.
How does this
If you're in a standard- if you're in a
No,
standard
don't worry,
school-
it's not.
If you're in a standard school and you ride that bicycle and you fall down, that's done. You're on the next subject. But in Phoenix, we help you get back on that bicycle.
You are so deep. So what are the words that normally follow Phoenix blank blank?
Oh, middle school.
And a middle school has what grades? Not grade. Not the grading scale. Gosh, you're all so brainwashed at this point. 7th and 8th grade. Do we have any 8th graders here?
Yes.
Like, well, in the school, yes, but in this class.
No, I
So
don't
could
know.
this class be representative
No.
of the whole school?
No.
No.
I said
We're
no.
missing 8th grade. We didn't talk about 8th grade.
I didn't want to.
Way to go halfway there.
Yeah.
So the problem with a convenience sample, it's often biased, right? A convenience sample is often biased. What about if I did voluntary response, I hung signs around the school, QR code, said scan this, take my survey.
People don't have to.
Would that potentially be representative or not? Why?
What if you don't have a phone?
Liam.
No, because it's like voluntary. Because they don't have to.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
some
have to
people
do it.
will.
Some people will, but it won't. Like, what group are you trying to get?
The whole population. I'm trying to get like insight from everybody, but I won't actually get everybody. So that's why we take a sample.
I mean, if it was everybody, then you would have to take a plane to get to the different
No, we mean everybody Phoenix.
Oh. I thought.
Thank you, Mr. Tyler, for going too deep.
I'm confused. Okay.
No, you're not confused. I think you're thinking like really deep, and not that you're confused, but you're just like you're further ahead than we are. But it's like it's weird, right? It's new stuff. Missy, thoughts?
I would say yes, because you don't really know who is going to take that survey, and there's like plenty of like diverse groups here from like, different grades and different like genders and a bunch of other stuff. So like you could, it's a possibility, but like I feel like it's kind of like half and half because you don't really.
Yeah, like
You
it
like the
could be representative, but it also could not. Is what you're saying? Like, yeah, it might. Minerva?
Not everyone has a phone, so they could scan it.
Not everybody. Now, maybe
It's
maybe
easy.
we could use our
Resources.
Chromebooks to scan the QR code.
Not
But also, hold on.
everybody
If we're making something voluntary response, who do you think? And guys, let's keep using hands because otherwise it turns into chaos. Who do you think is volunteering to respond? Anna?
Okay, so I need to point something out, and it's yeah. So basically, the question is, do you want to get up early? Except you're asking people to take.
We're
time
not
out of their day.
actually really
Okay,
talking about
well,
the
like,
question
still.
right now. We're
Okay,
trying to.
Still, but you're asking them to go out of their way to scan the QR code, and so the non-lazy people are going to scan the QR code and say that they want to do the non-lazy thing and wake up earlier.
So wait, the non-lazy people. So the people who are going to volunteer to respond are the people that care really strongly one way or the other way.
Yeah, and they also have to be like fully massive because then they have time to go and scan it.
You're going so deep into the situation I set up that was just supposed to be like a random situation.
Bicycle.
You're right. What you're saying is right.
Bicycle.
It relates back to the
I
population.
love my job. I love my job. I really do love
Only
my job.
part of
So,
the population can do it.
A
That's
cluster sample. A cluster sample is going to be where we strategically break the population up to try to get some control on this entire cluster has to respond. Like, you don't get to volunteer or not. We want your answers. So, I don't know, if there was a convenient way to break up the school, I don't know, like groups of 12 or 13. Oh, wait. Advisories. So if we say, we're going to cluster my advisory and Miss Hassanin's advisory, because we're neighbors, we're right here, extensions, is that representative of Phoenix?
Yeah. No.
That was a quick flip right there.
Yes.
So,
Kind of.
who can tell me how to fix it, Lee?
You would have to also use like 8th grade because
Say, be specific. If we're using me and Miss Hassanin's advisories,
so we would have to. Oh.
Alex is drawing, I can't focus, and somebody else over there is drawing too, but I can't tell. Go ahead.
Oh my god.
Everybody needs one set.
So we would have to use 8th grade as well with the same amount of people
Yeah.
so that it would be like even.
Then, is it a sample, meaning not the entire population? Yes, we've got a subset, right? 2 teams from 7th, or 2 clusters from 7th, 2 clusters from 8th. You put those together, and it's relatively representative because it's probably a mix of boys and girls. It is a mix of 7th and 8th. Like it should be a relative mix. You guys think about what if the question is, one music group gets extra money this year? Should it be band, choir, orchestra? Like, well, so be careful. So biases, the biases that
I'm a
exist.
fire kid and I do believe that band should get more money.
Instruments.
Okay, you're right. I mean, I agree with that too.
Or you could
So,
split it up and
the last thing that we want to do. The last thing that we want to do. The last thing we want to do before turning on the soccer game. If this is the sample that you took, what is the population that you're trying to figure out something about? So, if you different thing. If you take your phone book, call every 100th person in the phone. I love how many faces looked up when I said phone book. You're like, what? Yes, I know you know what it is, but could you go home and find a phone book?
Yes,
Well,
yes,
okay.
I
Do
could.
they still in Worthington come like just drop one at your house?
Our neighborhood has.
Okay, well
we,
that's
like,
okay.
Had a party, we like made a phone book for everyone.
Wow.
Oh no, that's like I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, for a second I thought like phone
There's
book
an
party
app
was a
where you
really
can find
funny
people's
idea.
phone numbers by putting their addresses.
So the population, right? The whole group you're polling from, people with phones that are in the phone book, right? Because you got to be specific with this. So talk with your teammate, see if you can decide what you think the population would be for each of these sample groups we took. So essentially, who could be answering your question? Because in each of these, there's some people that we're missing potentially.
people who go to the
So for the next one, survey people.
Football or football?
No.
football. I said football.
No, I know. I'm talking about soccer, like football or football.
Well, it's only non-lazy people. No, it's people who are leaning towards one side or the other. It's the vote now to high school football game.
I gotta pick up all my tiles.
Only the people who feel really strongly about it.
Oh, somebody should remind me tomorrow that I need to show you guys my little they did not do the math example, but we don't have time today because there's a soccer game on. Well, but tomorrow we're going to change the schedule. I didn't tell you that. Guys, we like to make school enjoyable. So, yeah. Shh, I didn't say that. Who said that?
Mr. Hudson.
Sorry, I should not gaslight you. Yes, I said that. Yes, that's what is in the works, is us modifying the schedule to be able to actually, like, all together watch the game tomorrow.
Wait, here's
But probably just the second half. Like, I don't know if we're going to do the entire game. But also, that might be one of those times where if you are not mastered, that's going to be AO time. Because if you don't do the work you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, guess what? You end up having to do it when you don't want to do it. So, if you want to watch the game tomorrow, do your work tonight.
Okay. Every time a student enters a high school, well, students, yeah,
Might not be at morning break.
be a fairly good mix of people.
What does haphazardly mean?
But what if it's something?
Such a fun word.
It says haphazard.
That's the word, haphazardly.
That's something that I would need.
Here, because I don't like defining words with just my definition, here's the actual definition of haphazardly.
Obvious principle of organization.
Let's add the ly. In a manner lacking any obvious principle or organization. So guys, haphazardly is just random. It's a funny, fantastic, whatever you want to say. It's a better word than randomly. It's just more fun. Haphazardly.
Better. It's different.
It's more flavorful. How about that? It's a more flavorful word.
For some people, it's just
Haphazard.
weird.
Haphazard.
Different. Weird. Different. Different.
Well, this is.
Let's make sure we're on the right
Covered a lot of
track.
trouble.
You trying to volunteer for the first one, Kim?
I guess not.
Keep working. You're fine. What's up?
I'm just in there.
Sure. Long ways. You can do whatever you want. You can even go search for it now if you feel like. If you're stressing out about like where is this thing, you can go look for it now if you need. All right. Survey. I'll take volunteers. I know this is new. I know this is a little iffy, and I know we're trying to get through it fast because soccer game. But we're at the very guys. Break is gonna cut our chapter super awkwardly. I just had to make my peace with that. We'll make sure everyone's feeling good about this stuff when we come back from break. Okay, like we're gonna have a couple days on it, but it's okay if you're still iffy when we go to break. Like we're still learning. We're actively learning. Gonna do the first one here? So if we survey people who come to the Vote Now booth at the high school football game, what's our population there?
Well, then you won't know the full population because, like, it's just people going to the Vote Now booth who went to the game.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that backwards. The only people who could answer are at the high school football game, right? If you're not at the game, there's zero chance you're gonna answer. And then it's also only
If you go to the booth.
if you actually go to the booth, so people that care enough to take their time to come and answer your question.
Don't you have to be eligible to vote? That's what Missy said.
No, well, that for like actual state elections and things like that. But if this is just like some high school like voting thing that they're doing at the high school, there's no like.
Vote. Are waffles better than pancakes?
Yeah, something like, or like, do we want the school to serve waffles? Things like that.
Yes.
All right,
Waffles are better
if-
than
If we asked every 10th student entering the high school football game, what's the population there, Eli?
You're only getting people that are going to the football game again.
We are only getting people at the football game again. Is this better or worse than the Vote Now booth?
Better.
Why is it better?
Because it's everyone that attends the football game and not the people who have to go to the
Well, yeah, now the population is everybody attending the game, and we're getting a nice selection every 10th, not just only people that care. I see you, and the problem is I also hear you. Now I will call on you, Liam.
Actually, because if you think of like a high school football game, there's also people's parents who go and like just adults and stuff. So it would be hard to keep track of every student.
But what if this? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, because they
But
specified
also the
students.
adults.
Yeah. But I mean, what if there was like a student entrance and an adult entrance? Because most of the time students are getting in for free with an idea. Like, there might be just students coming in this one entrance.
Yeah, and also like.
And once you start going to high school football games, you realize like there's a lot of students in one section, and then a lot of parents over here, right? Like people split up. Well, I know, but like it's pretty easy to find just students.
Yeah, there's usually students near the exit at the bottom.
Yeah.
No.
I normally don't go to the football games because then people are like, "Mr. Hudson," and they just
Sitting,
makes it more
standing
stressful.
up, you should wear the spirit wear.
Haphazardly, haphazardly survey students during the morning break.
I think we.
Lee has had their hand up for a while. Lee,
If they have a morning break, if they are a student,
so let's say the entire school gets a morning break.
Oh.
if they are a student and they got chosen.
But that's your sample is who got chosen. What population did it come from?
The random students that you selected.
That's your sample. What population does it come from?
Students in the morning break.
Students. If every student gets a morning break, like us in the morning before classes start, or like it's just students. Now, if not every student gets a break, then students on break would be your population. Because, guys, remember, population's everyone we could have asked. The sample is who we did ask and get responses from. Anna? You want to do the next one?
Yeah.
So, text responses to an online instant poll. Go ahead.
People, okay, so I wrote this wrong originally, so I'm gonna like say it that way because it's funny. I said people with access to onlineness and are currently online. I meant internet.
And
Oh yeah, and managed to text in a few seconds. I'm one of those people who like sees people text and then I'll like respond the next 2 days.
yeah, so it's people who are onlineness and have phoneness and have respondness.
Wow.
Like they care enough to respond. Absolutely.
Yes.
Hand out surveys in the school library before school. Guys, somebody in the last class pegged exactly the vocab word that's on the answer key, and it like about knocked me over. Lucas?
The people in the library before school.
Yeah, and if we were to say that the people who are in the library before school even starts,
What was the word on the late?
well, that's what I'm seeing if anyone knows. Min, do you know what word would just know? That's not it.
Early?
It's not early.
Did you just call Minerva Min?
Yeah, well that's
my nickname.
yeah. It's
I didn't know
I
that.
interchange people's like real names and nicknames just to keep my brain strong.
I didn't know that shit.
Guys, this I can't even make this up. And we had this moment where like I'll mess with Zach and be like, "Did you look at my stuff before class?" Literally, we were talking about this, and he just goes, "Studious students." Literally, studious. If you don't know this vocab word, studious means like you are like on it, like you study, right? Like you are like you care about your studies. Whenever. Hey, there it is. And guys, this one's kind of complicated, which is why I was going to show it to you. Be careful with your reading. Period 1 English classes is not a single class. It's like everybody in language arts first period. So could this sample be representative? Potentially. Don't think about our schools. But like if we were talking about Phoenix, there are actually a 7th grade group and an 8th grade group. But when you go to a high school, like there's lots of people in language arts class at the same time because lots of teachers are teaching the same stuff. So period 1 could have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors in different language arts classes, right? It could be a good representation. Even at Phoenix, we'd get 7th and 8th grade. We'd probably get boys and girls and like athletes and musicians and like all of that different, like we want the diversity. Lee? Technically, always scary.
I'm using the 8th grade doesn't have block
Oh, get off, you guys.
Lee has a point.
Technically. Ha, ha. And one more thing.
So funny.
One more thing before we switch over to soccer. In a 2008 study, Like this, I believe this is legit because I really doubt CPM would cite what university and when if it wasn't true. In a 2008 study conducted at the University of Iowa, they concluded, they made the conclusion, children that play violent video games are more aggressive in real life.
I think it's
Children ages 9 to 12 were studied to determine how much they played violent video games. Peers, teachers were asked how much these students hit, kicked, and got into fights. So when we come back to discussing all of this, what we're going to talk about is, can we legitimately conclude from this study that teenagers who play violent video games tend to be more aggressive? Can we legitimately conclude from this study, easier for me to read here than it is up there,
I don't think you can for A.
which I'm
It's
not
not
acting.
studying teenagers.
Do we want to answer this now or do we want to watch soccer?
Soccer.
I just have to stop recording before I bring the soccer game over onto this screen. So, we will take your opinions and thoughts and feelings and angerness and whatever when we come back to talking about this. Probably tomorrow, but tomorrow might just be a bunch of Desmos. So who knows? Who knows where this week is
Well,
going?
let's do soccer.
I also need to figure out what is happening on Monday before I can figure out what is happening on Friday. So don't make any major life plans based off my plans up there. Those are subject to change.
All right.
Missy? No. Why? Like, I mean, you can. Will it impact me?
Yes.
No.
No, we'll write a whole speech. We'll be like, "Dear Mr. Hudson, we know how much you deeply care about us.